Hi, everybody. It's Ernesto, licensed marriage and family therapist and creator of FYLMIT.com. Oh, my freaking goodness. I've got Tamara Suttle. Tamara, thank you for being on.
Thanks, Ernesto. This is a blast already.
Right. Okay. So before we go and move on with talking about what we are going to be talking about today, I want to just sing your praises. Okay.
Aw,
A few seconds here.
sweet.
All right. So for those of you who don't know Tamara Suttle, I don't even know why you don't know Tamara Suttle. Let me just explain a little bit about who she is. She is a business coach and consultant. She helps a lot of people in the world of mental health to build successful private practice. And in fact, she has a website called Private Practice from the Inside Out. That's her brand. She's got a very successful blog page where it's basically a go-to place if you are in the area of mental health. You go to that and has tons of content there for you to build your private practice. She is also a clinical supervisor. She has a consulting group. Oh my goodness, Tamara, what else don't you do besides take selfies like I do?
I do therapy like your audience.
That's right. And she is a clinical therapist as well, too. So, Tamara, welcome and thank you.
Thank you. I'm totally excited to be here. We're talking about my most exciting topic ever. I love to talk about, connecting people like you.
Yeah. Let's go into it because when I reached out to you about this topic, I was kind of like, what? How do you do that? So explain to us what this is.
So what this is how to build a community around your website. You do this intuitively on FYLMIT.com's Facebook page, and some people do this really well on Twitter, but I want to make a pitch that although what we talk about today is certainly generalizable, if that's a word, across all platforms, it's really, really important to do this on your website above all else, because that's the hub of your business where you want to be driving everybody.
Yeah. And I love that because part of business branding and part of your business is building a community around your service, around your product, your website, Facebook group. That's why it's so popular nowadays to be in a group, right?
Absolutely. And therapists are so natural at it, right? I mean, not only do a lot of us come into the field with that ability to connect to other people and to read other people and to meet other people's needs, but then we go through graduate school and we get that, spiffed up and polished, and we learn some more tools along the way.
Right.
But we have a leg up. We have a leg up on everybody else out there in having the ability to build that web.
Yeah, I know that with my brand, I highly depend on this idea of community.
Yes.
Because the brand evolved because of my community.
Absolutely. And I would also say that why would you not want to do that? We're caretakers. We're out there meeting people's needs, whether we're putting it in writing or we're putting it in video or we're putting it on a podcast, or we're sitting with clients in our office. We're out there meeting people's needs all day long. Yeah. Why not weave that into something stronger and bigger and more supportive of our clients, more supportive of our businesses? Why would we not do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that being in a community develops authority. It builds credibility, and most, if not all of the business I get for FYLMIT.com is by word of mouth, right?
Yes, exactly.
That person did my video, or necessarily my video. Go to him.
And you can't get better advertising than that, right? It's more credible, it's more valued, it's more trusted.
Yeah.
And it happens 24/7.
Absolutely. So let's go into it. Let's go ahead and define what that is, because like I said, yes, I do it intuitively, but at the same time, I want to know what exactly this is. So my first question to you is, how is this community defined within the context of your website?
Yeah. So let me back up and say that if you don't have people coming to your website, you don't have a community.
Mm.
And just because you have people coming to your website doesn't mean that you have a community. Think about it like this. If you think about the people that live up and down your street or up and down your apartment complex, you don't necessarily consider those people your community. But some of us are fortunate enough to live in spaces where we have people up and down the street, we have people up and down our apartment complexes, or we have people online that we actually connect with, that we actually care about. You know, you probably know this maybe, or those of you that have church backgrounds, Christian backgrounds for sure, may know the word koinonia. Koinonia, you know. Oh, good, because most people don't. So koinonia, is really what the word communion or community or commune and a lot of other words came from originally. It's an old Greek word, and it really talks about a place to be connected and fed. And so I want you to think about community in terms of your online community as a place where you care about each other and you feed each other. So you'll go to some streets in your town and you'll see that there is no community. People are not being fed by each other. They're holed up and walled off by themselves. And then you'll go online and you'll see that you go to a blog that or a Facebook page that has crickets. That's it. You know, there's no connection. Or sometimes you'll go to a town or you'll go to an online space like a blog and you'll find that people check in. Sometimes people comment. But it's not a warm and friendly, interactive, here's a covered dish for you, here's a covered dish for me kind of exchange. That's community. It's that place you go to be fed and where you're willing to feed others as well. And so when I think about therapists and their websites, it breaks my heart that people don't allow commenting, and then it breaks my heart that you allow commenting and there's crickets there, and then it drives me crazy that I can't communicate with you, or when I do, nobody communicates back. All of that is like a death knell. It does nothing to build your brand, regardless of the great videos, the great content that you're putting on there. And so I'm looking to build a space online on my website that I can invite you and your followers in, and strangers who are new to online, period. I want all of those people to come. I want them to feed, as in to contribute meaty, thoughtful conversations and resources and support, as well as I want them to be fed when they come there by me, giving them more content, more spaces to interact, more spaces to connect with other people.
So what I'm hearing from you is that a community is a nurturing space. It's a space where you nurture each other, you give content that would help you grow.
Absolutely. It's not just an audience. It's not just a place where people come to take from you, the blogger, or you, the video blogger.
Yeah.
And it's not a place, there needs to be some investment there. Yeah. And to do that, we as website owners, as you have so beautifully done on Facebook, you give and you get fed immensely.
Now, there's so many, within a community, there's so many sub-communities, right? Yeah. There's so many individuals within the community. One of the questions that was posed in the Facebook group is, how would you know what community you'd want to attract into your own community that you're trying to build? How would you kind of look at that?
Are you asking ask that differently.
Okay. So, a lot of therapists want specific communities. Yeah. Right? How would they come about knowing the community that they want to build? Who did they invite? Who did they want to meet? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that a lot of your tribe is therapists who are trying to build their private practices, and they may have a website put up, or their coaching practice, and they have their website put up, and they have an ideal client in mind, ideally, already. They know who they want. So I'm thinking, if you're the addictions professional at your website is focused on addictions, then you're wanting to tap into those people who are either potential clients struggling with addictions, or families who are struggling with addictions,
Right.
or potential referral sources, and so, who work, or other professionals that work and dovetail into the world of addictions. So that's where you're going to go to pull your tribe together. It's not hanging out with other therapists, right? I mean, we hang out together for one reason, but that's not about building your clinical practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So one way to do this is to be niche specific,
Yes.
that everybody have some sort of a common ground in this community.
Absolutely. So your common ground is therapists, right? That
absolutely. And therapists who are interested in doing video and social media.
Absolutely. Not all therapists.
Not all therapists. So it's pretty much specific. So it's okay, would you say? It's okay not to have a generalized community.
Yeah, I would say if your goal is to build your clinical practice, you're not going to be calling people in or from the grocery store. You're not going to be calling people in just from the medical community. If you're, yeah.
So let me ask you then, how would one go out and look for these individuals? Say, hey, here's my community, come and join me. Where would one go to seek and build that community?
Give me an example. Give me the focus.
So let's say I wanted to build a group of video marketers, but they're clinicians, right? Where do I go to say, hey, come and join me? Or look at my website,
You want video marketers who are specifically clinicians.
Yep.
Couldn't be massage therapists that are video clinicians.
Nope.
Couldn't be chiropractors that want to use video.
No.
Just the mental health world.
Yeah.
I think you have to start to build connections around the internet related to in spaces that look like professional associations, like the marriage and family folks, like the counseling folks, like the psychologists. That would be one place. The other place you could start is, which would probably have even longer term results, it would be to start with those students in training in those particular disciplines. And you've nailed that. You're there already, Ernesta. on all fronts.
When I post this in the Facebook group, people are like, oh my gosh, Tamara has a lot of content. And a lot of people actually follows and are in that blogging community, in that community that you've built up.
Thank you.
How did you manage to attract them into that community?
I knew what I wanted. I knew who that ideal client was for me. And so that ideal client were therapists that are struggling to build that private practice. It wasn't the therapist in agencies. It wasn't the therapist in institutions or in higher ed. It really was, I struggled so much in the beginning. And so those were the people that I felt really called to reach out to and support and hopefully keep them from stepping into some of the same holes that I stepped in the beginning. We all step in holes, but
yeah. So rule number one in building a community is know what type of community you'd want to build.
Absolutely. And there's not a wrong answer there, right? If you're the clinician that's into polyamory clients, then you can make then that's a great niche for you. Build your community. Or if you're the clinician who prefers to identify as a Christian counselor in every realm of your professional existence, that's a great community to build it, because Ernesto, we all crave that social connection, even the introverts among us.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I was posed, as well as one of the questions, is monetizing your community, and that's a lot of therapists are even afraid to kind of even talk about that, you'd say?
Yeah, I think they are afraid to talk about it, and I haven't done it, and I'll tell you why. I totally think it's doable. I know it's doable. I've helped some therapists do that. But I think for my audience and maybe for yours, that you have to have a large community before you go monetizing. Just like step 1, you need to have a website. Step 2, it needs to have a blog. Step 3, it needs to have people who are reading it. If all you have are like most bloggers in this world and have 50 or less followers, you're not ready to monetize your site. If you've got a good number of loyal, engaged people following your work, and you've managed to build a connected community, then we can talk about monetizing your site. But therapists sometimes, at least I find a lot of the therapists I work with, they get things out of order and then they think they don't work. And they don't work just because they're not at the right stage. You have to do it in order.
Wow. Okay. So with people like me who is enthralled with shiny objects.
Yes, you are.
And
Focus.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, that's a good thing to do, and everything's just all over the map in my head. You're saying that sometimes it doesn't work because things are not in order and in place.
Absolutely.
That really makes a lot of sense for a lot of mental health professionals who I work with.
Me too. Including me. Shiny objects.
Right. We just love them. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is engaging with your community. It saddens me that when someone has built a Facebook community, that the administrator or administrators do not engage on real time for their community, right?
Right.
You'd say what with that? Because I think this is a generation that is craving to engage with certain brands, right?
Absolutely. And I know those Facebook pages you're talking about. I know those. And I certainly understand when